Okay, let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanora Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitatvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So we're looking at this sloka 22 of the fourth chapter, the fourth Brahmana, Saririka Brahmana. And in that, he says, after describing the oneness that pervades the Brahman as a Jiva, as Brahman as a Paramatma, so occupies the local entity, you call it a Jiva, occupies the total entity, you call it a Ishvara, but that without any occupation, that which is purely Brahman. So that's what he's essentially looking at. And to know that, etam eva viditva, before that, we have not come to that statement. So, this tametam vedanovachanena brahmana vividashanti yajnena danena tapasa anasanena. So, in the beginning, you have to listen to the scriptures, and adhyanam, and also the study of the scriptures is important at that level. So, vedanovachanena brahmana vividashanti. Brahmana here is a seeker, and he is the vividashanti, the one who has desired to know, has to do vedanavachanena by Veda Adhyayanam, study of the Vedas. Veda means the knowledge or the truth. Veda also means, vid means know, to know. Veda means knowledge. Also Vedas means our scriptures, and that's the fundamentals of Hinduism. What's Hinduism is? The fundamental belief that Vedas are the essential truths is the basis of Hinduism. See, not Hinduism, it's Sanatana Dharma. Anyway. So this first part belongs to the Brahmacharya Ashrama also. This is the Shankaracharya defines that, says where in the olden days they sent children to the Gurukula, where at that time still only thing is to learn Adhyayanam. Adhyayanam means constant practice of chanting of the Vedas. That's what Veda Adhyayanam. So first memory is emphasized at that level until they learn, then they start explaining the meaning later. The meaning comes after they learn the other Vedangas. Vedangas means other associated Vyakaranam and all other things that are required in order to understand Veda are also taught, and then only they teach the Vedas. That's the tradition anyway. So, tametam vedanavachanena brahmana vividashanti. Up to that, according to Shankara, belongs to the Brahmacharya Ashrama is being described there. Yajnena danena. And those two parts, description of the Grihastha Ashrama. So yajnas are done by the Grihastha, that means you have to be married, and without wife you cannot do, because she has to be there to take half of your punyam. That's our tradition. Tradition is, wife gets half of your punyam, but she doesn't take half of your papam. When I told this in the Virginia, the husband was very much worried. I don't know why they didn't show up anyway, it's too far for them. So the husband, what husband does is take half of the papam of wife. That means he takes half of her demerits, but he cannot touch her punyam. This is our Vedic tradition. Because Veda is where the girl is given away. Even here also they give the girl away, right? Girl is given away to the family of the husband, and that's why the girl gets the gotram of the father, of the husband only, right? Why? Because now she belongs to that family. And in that, it says, dhanmecha, arthecha, kamecha, nati charami. That's what you promise every time you go around 7 times every time you do around. You promise that I am taking this lady as my wife for following dharma first. So everything is dharma. And then arthecha, kamecha. And mokshesha is not mentioned there. Because he may go sannyasam right there. So mokshesha is not mentioned in the marriage time. Because for moksha you are on your own. You don't take any husbands and wives. Wife doesn't depend on husband. So we have a husband teaching wife. This going to come. And we have also wife teaching husband also. In the, what is that? Why Vishnu, the Vasishtha teaches Rama. What's the book? I forgot the name. What is it? Yoga Vasishtha. Yeah, in the Yoga Vasishtha, there is a story of where the wife teaches the husband also. We have mother teaching the son, we have a son teaching the mother, all things are there. Anyway, here it says, Yajna tapena. Yajna is done by the, that means rituals are being done by the Grihasthashrama, and Danena, by giving the donations. So this is the part of the Grihasthashrama, where you need wealth in order to do yajna, because some of them are very rich, very costly. So you have to obviously earn, and you have to have constant yajnam, and danam has to be done. Because danam is not only during yajna time, you have to offer a lot of danam. For not only the Paurohis, plus all the guests that you have to invite the wise people. That's what in the previous chapter, the Janaka invites all the Brahmins for the yajna, and after that only, then he announces the competition there. That those who attended last camp. Okay. So here, yajnena danena. So by doing it, what do I gain? By doing it, I recognize that by a performance of yajna, I am not able to reach that. I need, besides this, that is how the karma ends into jnana yoga. So inquiry starts at the grihastha level, and that time it is tapasa anashakena, by tapas and by controlling the food. Essentially, the mita aharam. Tapasa is austerities. So that part refers to vanaprastha. So here all the 3 ashramas are tuned towards the higher only. So in essentially every activity at any level is ultimately tuned to this only. That should be remembered, as everything in all directions I am going, but ultimately for this purpose only. So whatever I do, I don't have time. So whatever you do is essentially for this, because whatever you do is trying to get happiness only, right? Everybody wants happiness only. So every action is meant for this. But only thing is you are going in the wrong direction, that's all. Only thing you are trying to find happiness where it's not there, and you have to come to Vedanta ultimately to find absolute happiness. And that's what essentially is implied, because the Hinduism life itself is tuned in that way, and all the karmas are essentially part of the yajna only. They call it samskara. So vivaham is samskara. Janma is a samskara. And Garbhadhanam is also samskara. Everything is done as a samskaram, that means a purification rite. I am taking this as a marriage also. That's also purification process. It's called samskara. Nama samskara, everything is called samskara, where ritual is done in order to appreciate that it is taking for the dharma also, protecting dharma. That's a part of that. Here it says, tapasa anashakena, by controlling the food. Until then I am eating whatever it is, but now I control mita aharam, appropriate what is required for the body minimum, and so that I can spend more time in the study of the Vedanta. That's all essentially, analysis. Etameva viditva munir, oh, we have to stop that, right? Okay, let's chant. Etameva viditva munir bhavati. Etamevo pravajino lokamichantaha pravrajanti etad dharma vai tat purve vidvamsaha prajam namakamayante kim prajaya karishyamo yesham Naha ayam atmayam loka iti te hasma putraishanayascha vittaishanayascha lokaishanayascha vyuthayatha bhikshacharyam charanti Ya hyeva putraishana sa vittaishana ya vittaishana sa lokaishana ubheshyeti yeshane eva bhavataha. Okay, let's stop there. Now this part is somewhat description of the sannyasa ashrama. And Shankara uses this and says everybody has to become sannyasa. So I have to be careful here. All our grihasthas are here. So we have to see what it means. So etameva viditva munirbhavati. So etam eva viditva. So this etam means etam eva is the atma. By knowing this reality of the self only, viditva, one becomes contemplative. So you have gone through different ashramas and trying to discover what is the essence of the life itself, and in the process the essence of life is not out there. I have to recognize the atma, self in me is the self in all, and that is where becomes I am contemplative munir bhavati. To know that. That is through the Vedanta Shravana. Etam eva pravrajino lokamichantaha pravrajanti. So etam, for this reason only, pravrajino sannyasinaha. You see Shankaracharya's definition. Pravrajina means the one who goes around all the time. It doesn't have a place. Aniketa, my son-in-law is Aniketa. Aniket is one Niketan, there doesn't have Niketanam. Niketa means there is no address. That's called Aniketa. Why? He cannot stay in one place, he wants to move around all the time. That's called Parivrajaka. So sannyasi is not supposed to stay at one place. Okay? He has to move around. Because if you stay at one place, he develops attachments. That's why. So he has to be detached. So he goes to one place and to other place and other place, so that he lives here and go. This is one of the beautiful experience of the Gurudev is. So anytime Gurudev goes in some place, everybody was so joyful and he hugs everybody. I don't know how he remembers. I asked him one day, how do you remember all the names and all these people's names? And he remembered everybody's names. And everybody feels that he is really caring for him only. That's a strange. This is my entertainment for me. I'm around him. I'm watching how people react and how people is. Some people become possessive also. I had problems. I had to complain also. One host didn't allow anybody else to come there. When I complained, Swamiji stopped going there to that host. It happened in Washington only, but anyway, I don't want to tell all the names. But the problem is people think that Swamiji belongs to me only. That kind of things he develops as though that people say so much of love and think that people, Swamiji loves me so much, Swamiji loves this much, everybody thinks like that. But when he goes to the next place, he drops everything there. So I observed all these things. So all those things, these people may remember, but he doesn't remember any of this. He goes and then completely different their environment all. So that's essentially that here it says, Vrajami, he doesn't stay at one place to develop any, this is my place. There is no minus and everywhere. Everything is dropped. So as soon as every letter he used to respond. And he writes neatly, rightly he writes, and after that I'm watching, he tears that one and puts it there. Unless there is something to be saved, if it's a document to be saved, it's saved. Otherwise, it's gone. Immediately. After responding each letter, every letter, including whether the child writes or somebody writes, he responds. That's the beauty of him. I don't know, somebody told a story about him. People were typing his addresses. He wanted to write the address because he knows that when people receive with his handwriting, they were elated. Swamiji wrote, and they used to keep. Because whenever you see that, you remember Swamiji and also hopefully the teaching also. That's the purpose of that. So he used to respond with his photo also sometimes, but anyway. I don't know, when I start talking about Gurudev, I suppose. But there was a first camp I was attending, and there was somebody took a picture where he was showing something talking. In that picture, he was taking a shot like that, and my this one was there in that, as though he was holding my neck. The picture was like that. So yeah, we had an unofficial photographer, unofficial declared Chinmaya Mission photographer. That's Mimi Robbins. I just got a mail from her recently. She is from Boston. She used to go to every end with all the cameras and all that, and she bought this in and takes every picture and taka. I don't know how many people met Mimi Robinson. Very, very beautiful lady, and makes a picture and makes an album over that. So he used to give picture to Gurudev copies, and he sent that picture with me in that holding like this. Says, now you are in my grips, you cannot get out of it. That is his handwriting there on top of the picture. But anyway, it's a funny. So here Prabhupada is always parivrajaka, he always moves around. Lokam icchantaha. So he goes lokam looking for lokam. Lokam here is, we explained last time, it is that which is shining all the time. That which is Swayam Prakash Lokam. That means they are going after searching for happiness, going all over the place. That means they do not want to stay one place and looking for that happiness. That means searching for the truth. Pravrajanti, so they keep moving around. These are therefore sannyasinaha. Why do you say the sannyasinaha? That means here is a statement, Shankara says, sannyasa is not an ashrama started by Shankara. This is there in the Vedanta, and here is the reference that he quotes all the time. So that's a statement here, because etad dharmavaitat purve vidvamsaha prajam nakamayante. So purve vidvamsa, in olden days, this is what the Upanishad is saying, in olden days this was the practice that was vidvamsaha, that means the vivekanaha, those who want to inquire into the truth. This is the dharma vaitad. This alone was being practiced at that time. That means they were giving up the family. Parivrajaka means moving around what? Leaving the family behind. So when you go after self-realization, is it very selfish? The fellow wants to be happy himself and living with the family and all that. That's why people criticize the Buddha. He left young wife and a small kid trying to solve. Because this is the higher dharma than the other one. In the dharma scales, what is dharma? That which is superior has to be followed. There is higher dharmas in the dharma rank. Higher dharma is, I should not lie. That's my dharma. But I can lie if I had to save somebody. That becomes saving life, becomes a higher dharma compared to lying, right? These are the important things one has to be careful. So therefore, dharma is not that simple. There is always conflict of dharmas. That's why Arjuna has the problem. I don't know what is the dharma. Why? Because there are conflict. They are my people, how can I kill? Killing is not good. Other dharma is the protection of the righteousness. So what is that? So he's confused. So that's why one has to be important. What is dharma? Here it is, the going after the highest knowledge is the higher dharma. In the process, if you are leaving other things, then that is not considered as wrong according to Hinduism, and therefore it's called parivrasa. Lokam icchanti pravrajanti etad dharma vaitatu purve vidwansaha prajam na kamayante. So those people in those days, they were not longing for prajam. Here is the sons. So they were not looking for, they are not wanting for sons. I don't know why they didn't talked about daughters, but they only mentioned sons, because the son is the one who performs the karma. According to the tradition, the son has to do shraddha and all that. If son is not doing the shraddha and all that, he is not worthy son. That's a different story. But this is the story is he has to perform the rituals, and therefore they go to the Pitruloka. That's why the karma is required. So prajamna kamayante, they are not looking for, or they are not desiring any sons. That means they are not desiring families even. Kim prajaya karishyamo esham noyam atmayam loka iti. So kim prajaya karishyayam. So he said, what's the use of these children? That's what the question. See, Yeshaha naha ayam atma ayam lokaha. This is because when I am going after the highest, where I don't have even Pitruloka, I am looking at the completely, the totality. What's use of these sons? Sons are only for me to go to the Pitruloka. That's called Pitru. Pitru is the one, son is the one who takes me to Pitruloka by his karmas. So therefore, when I am not interested in that, then I am not interested in the sons also, according to him. According to the scriptures, therefore they were traveling around taking sannyasa. That's the emphasis. Te hasma putraishanayascha vittaishanayascha lokaishanayascha vruthayatha bhikshacharyam charanti. So going after the food putraishanayascha par putra yashana means for desiring the sons or desiring the wealth. Vittaishanayascha, vittam is wealth. Lokaishanayascha for designing the possessions. Yuttha is all waste only. Therefore they are going bhikshacharyam charanti. They are going for bhiksha. It means they are taking sannyasa ashrama. Ya hyenam putraishana vittaishana ya vittaishana lokaishana ubheshyeti eshane eva bhavataha. So essentially the putreshana with sa vitteshana, either the search for the desire for the sons, or the desire for the wealth, or desire for the wealth, or desire for the loka. They are all similar. They are not different. Because why do I need putra? Why do I need the sons? Because I want go to higher lokas. Why do I want to go higher lokas? But I can enjoy more. So I think same thing. So everything comes to that only. So Putraishna, Putraishna is same as Vittashna is same as Lokashna. All these things are Ishna, all are only sadhana sadhyam, or gain something that is finite. So these are all useless. So why do I do it? So they went for sannyasa. So all this description is, if you are looking for the sannyasa, if you Vedanta this one, then you have to approach the sannyasa ashrama. There are two types of sannyasa. One is the Vividisha sannyasa, then is Vidvach sannyasa. Vividisha sannyasa is a sannyasa renouncing everything in search of the knowledge. That means I am going to a teacher to learn. So because I don't have, if I am doing the grahastha, I don't have time. I don't have all those times. So those grahasthas or take ashrama, he says, you are so busy, you don't have enough time for Vedantic study. That's why a lot of people won't attend the camp also, because they are too busy. Why? Because of other problems, other obligations of the family obligations or some other obligations. Therefore, because of that, it's difficult for me. That's why many of us cannot go and do brahmacharya course there. 2.5 years course is there every year. But it's difficult to do because you have to give up everything and stay there, right? For 2.5 years. Not many people are ready to do that. So grahasthas are very difficult. That's why I didn't go. Because I am married and I have to take care of my child and all that. So of course what I studied only myself, without attending whatever the camps like this. I also attended only camps, only learned whatever, and then rest of it by swadhyayanam, means self-study. And so here it's essentially, the talks about the grahasthashrama, you cannot do it. So you go to a teacher. For that you have to give up everything. That's called the sannyasa. Is called the vividisha sannyasa. I am going in search of knowledge and therefore taking everything else out. Brahmacharya, you do the Veda Adhyayanam. But when it comes to Vedanta, it's not for everybody. Those who have only those qualifications required for Vedantic study, they go for this. Others go to regular grahasthas and regular ashramas out there. So up to Vedadhyayana, up to Brahmacharya, and then people go for the grahastha ashrama. Only few go to sannyasa ashrama. That's what it is essentially. So he has talked about the brahmacharya, he talked about the grahastha, he talked about the vanaprastha, and about sannyasa. These are stages in life depending upon the maturity of the individual. Now how do we interpret this to our own message? Remember Brahma, Pranam, Brahma Havihi. Brahma we just chanted every time. That tells you that is what? The Arpanam is Brahman. That means this is done by a grahastha only. That's a yagam. The description is, this homam is not Brahman, is Brahman, the one who is doing Brahman, the fire is Brahman, the what ghee is Brahman, the one who is doing is Brahman, the result is Brahman. That's what this sloka is. This it refers to karma, yajna. Yajna is done by grahastha only. So that sloka applies to grahastha. And that's meant for, he has to recognize that this arpanam, while doing yajna, arpanam is nothing but Brahman, that means knowledge. So therefore, if you read the commentary on that sloka, it tells you two things. One is from the point of grahastha. What exactly means? It means it shows that grahastha also can realize. But I need to have a sannyasa, renunciation of, as we studied before, give up all unnecessarily things that bother me. I don't know how many people, if you go to Google and look for the Peace Pilgrim, in the Google, if you're Peace Pilgrim, there's a 1950s is an American lady who is considered herself as Peace Pilgrim. She suddenly felt that she's not a Advaitin, she is not any religious also. Suddenly somehow she felt that she doesn't need all this. And she started giving up. I don't need this, I don't need this. And she realized that she doesn't need anything actually. So she started giving everything away. And all she felt is she needs 2 pairs of dress and the shoes. That's it. To go around. And she became Parivrajaka. You talk about sannyasi, she became sannyasi. She doesn't know what sannyasa means, but she became sannyasi. You should see, they're beautiful, some of the things you learn. And she was teaching peace. Whatever that comes, says this is a peace. Because you have no problem, she's free. So why are you having these problems? Don't just give up all these things. She was preaching whatever peace that she thought is. And you should listen, and they distribute freely also some of her tapes and the write-ups also. And you see absolute Vedanta there. She doesn't know what is Vedanta, but you see Vedanta there. It's very beautiful there. But she does not know I am Atma Brahman. That knowledge is not there. Okay? She may be born somewhere now, but that part is not. Only she knows that this beautiful aspects of the Vedanta is there. At the same time, she does not know the absolute truth also. But anyway, that's Parivrajaka. So it's called Vividasha. There is a Vidvat Sannyasa where after studying all that Vedanta, one can take up sannyasa, and that's what Yajnavalkya is going to do in the next chapter. Okay, that we will refer to. That's called Vidvat Sannyasa. Yajnavalkya is teaching, but he's going to take sannyasa in the next chapter. So that's what we will do later. That's called Vidvat Sannyasa. So up to this is what is the sadhana in terms of either brahmacharya, vanaprastha, sannyasa, and all that is described. For what? That we will do next. Sayesha neti netyatma agrahyo nahi grukhyate asirshyo nahi siryate asango nahi sajjate asito na vyatate na rishyati etam uhai, my mouth is not turning. Etam uhai vaite na tarati iti ataha papam akaramavo imiti ataha kalyanam akaram iti ube ha eva eshaha iti tarati nainam kruta kruti tapataha. Okay, now part of it is already done before in the chapter 4, before I think 442, 4 something, whatever. We started with this statement: Sayesha Nityatma Gruhyo na Grukhyate Asishyo na. All this yesterday we have come, this is exactly same. So that's called Upodghatam. That means this is the proposition, and here it is the conclusion of that. This is the nature of the reality that in fact Sayesha neti netyatma, where I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, and coming up what is that I am, which cannot be negated by any other process, because I am the one who is negating everything else. That is Atma. Agrahyo nahi grukhyate, that which cannot be known by any other means, by either jnanendriyas or karmendriyas, and therefore that is the nature of Atma. Asiryo nahi siryate, that is indestructible, because only destruction is only possible for finite things. And asango nahi sajjate, it's unattached, because being infinite cannot be attached to anything, because there is nothing to attach itself. Asito na vyatate narishyati, so that which is never can be undergo any pains or suffering at all as a result of it. Etam eva etam ubhai vaite na tarata iti, this without the not, what is this? Let me see what he says. Okay, he says, okay, the one Evam Edam Vaiti Natarati. So there is nothing that overtakes him. That's what is explained here by the Madhavananda. It says essentially, it is never overtaken by these two thoughts. It's never overtaken by any two thoughts that I did an evil act or I did for the good act. All that. It says essentially, let's read that. Etam vaiti natarati iti ataha papam akaram iti ataha kalyanam akaram iti uhu vaishaha iti tarati. This is the two aspects. One is the commissions and omissions will not bother him anymore. Oh, I didn't do this, regrets of the past, where what I am supposed to do I didn't do, and what I am not supposed to do I did. That's called commissions and omissions. This is the regret, guilt feeling he will never have. These are the two things, that is what he is talking about. And this is beyond, not that it will never overtake him, means it will never come to his mind at all. Natarati means he is beyond good and bad. That's what implication is. So it's nothing to regret. So whatever is done, I have done, is the end of it. And now I am full by myself. So no regrets of the past, no regrets or, oh, I should have done that, would have, could have, should have, all those things are not there anymore. And that is essentially that nainam krute akrute tapadaha. Neither things that are done or things not done will not bother him anymore, because all this is only drama. So why should I worry about this drama? All this don't mean much anything. So that's what the big mantra is. So it talks about sadhana from the point of individual. Once I describe that is the goal where the jivatma is different, not different from a paramatma, then what should I do? You have to study Vedanta as a brahmacharya and then practice and live a dharmic life where you have to follow the dharma of the that's purification. The Grihastha Ashrama is a purification process to remove all my vasanas. And that way I realize that all these vasanas don't mean anything, and then I go to Vanaprastha and then to sannyasa. So all these stages of life according to the Hinduism is provided to reach the highest. And in that highest, once I reach, nothing will bother him anymore. Okay, the last sloka of this. Tadetad rucha bhuktyam. Tad etad rucha. This is a Ruk mantra related to this. So we are talking about now Ruk mantra. Yesha nityo mahima brahmanasya. Navardate karmana no kaniyan tasyaiva syat padavit tam viditva na lipyate karmana papakena iti tasmat evam vichyanto danta uparataha titikshuhu samahitohi samahitoho bhutva atmanyeva atmanam pasyati sarvam atmanam pasyati nainam papma tarati sarvam papmanam tarati nainam papma tapati sarvam papmanam tapati vipapo virajaha avichikitso brahmano bhavati yesha brahma lokaha. Okay, then Samrat. So first he talks about the Ruk Veda mantra, and then he summarizes and essentially summarizes the whole chapter and summarizes the whole teaching also in this, and shows what is to the essence is. Tad rucha bhaktyam. See, this ruch mantra says this. Esha nityo mahima brahmanasya navardhate karmana no kaniyam. So Esha nityo, that which is eternal, mahima, that which is supreme, that which is brahmanasya. So Brahmavitasya or Brahmanasya is a pure Brahmin. Navardhate karmana no kaniyam. It is neither grows with karma nor decreases with karma. That means it's untouched by the karma. It means from then on, once I know that I am Brahman, nothing will touch me anymore. Nothing will affect me. Nothing can affect me. Whatever I do. So it is freedom from for the sage. He can do whatever he wants once he has become Brahman. But, there's a but. He doesn't do anything adharmic at all. Because he is complete, full, so there is nothing that he really wants for him to be happy. And therefore, with fullness, what can I do? Whatever he does is only for Brahman's sake. Because he is Brahman, for his sake. What is his sake? Brahman's sake. That means for the totality only. So whatever he does is for the Loka Kalyana. You follow now why Loka Kalyana comes into picture? He is doing for himself. But himself is the Brahman now. So he is doing for Brahman's sake. Brahman is infinite. That means he is looking only for the totality itself. That means the whole lokam is nothing but him. And therefore he does for the benefit of himself is same as benefit of the totality. So therefore any action neither decreases him or increases him, because he is already full. There is nothing to overflowing already. You cannot pour any more than that. So that is essentially what it means is tasyaiva syat padavitu tam viditva nalipyate karmana papakena. So there is no more suffering in that state, because there is no impurity, neither karmana or papa or punya or all that things have no meaning at all for him. Tasmat, therefore, evam vichanto danta far. Therefore, having understood all this and having attended and coming to the end of the camp, now therefore tasmat evam vichanto danta uparataha titicha. You have heard of these words before? This is where the Upanishad is telling you these are the requirements for the mind. Because remember, you need a viveka, vairagya, shat sampatti, all that is specified here in this sloka here. This is where the Shankara gets, says these are the qualifications that are required, because it is therefore tasmad evam with shanti, with shantaha, shanti, danti is essentially shamadama, uparati and titiksha essentially are being specified here. Samahitaha is same as samadhanam, and bhutva atmanyeva atmanam, so having gained that, atmanyeva atmana pasyati, having one realized by oneself, atmani eva, atma has to realize atmanam. What atma has to realize? What atma? By atmani, first atmani means through the mind only. That atma, first atma stands for the mind, and atma, second atma stands for the reality self. So through using the mind only, you have to realize for the using the mind has to be prepared. How do you prepare? Previous things all required. Shanta, Danta and all. What is Shanta, Danta, Shama, Dhamma? So Dhamma is withholding the sense organs is Dhamma. So controlling the sense organs is Dhamma. Means physically not going to places where my mind get dissipated. So I don't want to drink, but I want to hang around in the bar. Why should I go and hang around the wife? I don't want to drink. Just go out of that place, because that place is no need for me. So physically getting out of the environment that is conducive to dissipate my mind, I had to avoid. That's called Danta. So don't get into unnecessarily situations, deliberately into situations where you have to struggle hard to get out. So this becomes a sadhana now. So any opportunity that deteriorate my own self-insulting environments should be avoided as long as possible, because I have a what do you call the choice in action, so I can deliberately avoid that. But if I get into the situations because of so many other reasons, then what do? Then control you internally your mind. So now I am controlling the mind, not the physical environment. That's called the Shantam Shivam. Not Shantam Shivam, sorry. This is the Shama and Dhamma. And Uparati, Titiksha, Samahitaha, all the things, this Tattva Bodha defines all these terms in the technically also. Bhutva, Atmani Eva Atmanatasha. So preparing the mind becomes an important for purification of the mind is important to see oneself. The mind has to see oneself or see the consciousness that I am. And Sarvam Atmanam Pasyati. Sarvam Atmanam Pasyati. Everything is my own self, has to be recognized. Nainam Papma Tarati. To one who has recognized, Na enam papma tarati, all papam cannot reach him. That's all. One thing it says, Na enam papma tarati, sarvam papmanam tarati. And whereas he crosses every sin, means no sin can cross him, but he crosses every sin. That's what he implies, if you want to say it. That means no sin can affect him. At the same time, he doesn't have any sins at all, anything that. Even when you think it is a sinful action, from his point, no more. Because for him, it's all drama only. Therefore, whatever he does, we cannot question him. But he doesn't do, because before that, he said he has a Santi, Damati, Uparati, Titiksha, all the main mind has been trained in sadhana. Therefore, a realized person has gone through all that. Therefore, his mind is already disciplined. Therefore, he automatically follows that which is only good for everybody. And therefore, there is no dharma. So, there is no, scripture doesn't have to. But also, scripture says that Shastra will protect you until you realize. And after you realize, you protect the Shastras. That's a statement. I don't know which Upanishad, but so, and that's why protective means giving you guidance in terms of what you do. But after realization, you protect means you make sure that people know the Shastras. That's what is a Shastra. That's part of the Rishi Yajna, Rishi obligation, Rishi Yajna called. So, Sarvam Papmanam Tarati, Sarvam Papma Tapati, those no sin will tapati, no sin will burn him. Tapati means tapana, is bother him. And Sarvam Papmanam Tarati, he burns all the sins also. No sin can burn him, but he can burn all the sins. Vipapo, Virajaha, Avichikitso, Brahmano, Bhavataha. So, Virajaha is essentially here the Kamarahita. That's how the Shankara defines as. And Vichikitsaha, Avivichikitsaha, Avivigitsaha. Vicikitsa is a doubts, samsayam. So avivikitsa is samsaya rahitaha. That means avidya rahitaha. This is the description by the Shankara. So it says he has no more ignorance. He has crossed everything. He has no more ignorance. And therefore, Brahmano bhavati, Saha Brahmano bhavati. He has become one with the Brahman. And therefore, its whole thing is Esha Brahma Lokaha. That indeed is the Jyoti Swarupam, Swayam Jyoti Swarupam of the Brahman. That's what is the whole thing. Okay. Samrat Enam Prapito Siti. Ho Vacha Yajnavalkyaha. Soham Bhagavate. Videhan Dadami. Mam Chapi. Sadasyameti. Okay. Hey Samrat enam prapito siti. Here says, this indeed you have reached. This is a certification by the Yajnavalkya to Janaka. This you have gained. Go watch Yajnavalkya. So obviously Janaka was very happy. Says, now he doesn't need any more. So Soham Bhagavate Videya, this I am giving this whole kingdom to you. Now I don't need it anymore. So whole Videha kingdom is given. Along with it, Mam Chape, I also give myself to you. Do what? Dhami. That means he is ready to offer everything at his feet. Okay, last sloka. Sava Esha Mahanaja Atmajaro Amaro Amruto Abhayo Brahma Abhayam Vai Brahma Abhayam Hi Vai Brahma Bhavati Ya Evam Veda. That's it. Says Sa Esha. That indeed is that Mahanaja. It's a great truth indeed. Is Atma Ajaraha. So it is not, doesn't have jaram, doesn't have fever. Ajara means no deterioration or nothing can affect him. No disease of kind. Amaraha, it is essentially no marana, no death at all. So Amrutaha, which is same as Amrutaha, is same as Ajaraha. So here Mahan Ajaha is defined here. Mahan Aja is, Shankara says, is Sava Esha Mahanijo Atma, used very often in this by Shankara, and uses the Maha means it is the spatially and time wise it is infinite. That's what the description of Mahanaja. So Ajaraha is free from, also Jara is the old age, free from old age. Amaraha is Amrutaha, it is Nasharahitaha, no destruction at all. So there are two types of description, the destructions. One is called Apekshika Nashaha, Adjantika Nashaha. This is by Shankara. I am just putting in notes here. One is called relative destruction, is an absolute destruction. Relative destruction is what we do in the deep sleep state. Remember, we studied the deep sleep state. This is where Shankara is differentiating deep sleep versus the moksha. In the deep sleep state, it is a relative destruction where temporarily we don't have, and we have Advaita there. And the absolute is the self-realization in the waking state. So you have to awaken to the highest state. And therefore that is what you have realized essentially, that Amrutaha, and then Amruto Abhayaha, without any fear. That's what we started with, Abhayam Bhaya, Ahon Brahma. So all are nothing but different pointers pointing out to the same, because you are infinite, so you are free from everything. All are deterioration, Amrutam, all those things is only for finite things, and this being infinite, none of these things can be applied here. So, and Abhayam Vai Brahma, that Brahman is indeed Abhayam. Again is defining that Brahma as Abhayam. Abhayam Hi Vai Brahma, that indeed is Abhayam, is indeed is without fear, because fear comes only for the second. Ya Evam Veda, that is the truth, that is to be known. And that ends the chapter on that. Now there is a next Brahmana is nothing but Maitri Brahmana. And Maitri Brahmana we have taken in one Memorial Day camp already. It's an exhaustive Brahmana, and we have only half an hour, 20 minutes. So we don't need to do again. So I give a reference where all the talks, 8 talks on the Maitri Brahmana is there in the YouTube. If you go to YouTube and ask for Acharya, you get not only Vaitri Brahmana, every Brahmana, you get all the Brahmanas there. But there also, we have taken the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Maitreyi Brahmana is also there. But I'm going to do one sloka, that is 245. I think you have that mantra also. And the essence of that mantra is now the teaching not to Janaka. Janaka's story is over. He already surrendered everything, including the Videha Rajya also he has surrendered. Now we come to the Maitreyi, and in this the story is Yajnavalkya had two wives. One is Maitreyi, another is Katyayani. And he wanted to take sannyasa. Now this is called Vidvat sannyasa, because you know Yajnavalkya knows everything. But still he wants to take sannyasa, because he doesn't want to be bothered about cows, because his wealth and all that, taking care of and all that. Because as a Grahastha he has to do so many other things. So Aditya Satkar, there is so many duties of Grahastha has to be done. But he wants to be free and completely involved in the Vedanta. So what he wants to do is he called his two wives, and all the cows that he has collected from Janaka are there. So he wants to divide. That's a property at that time. Cows are property. He says two wives, and Maitreyi is the elder wife, and the younger wife is Katyayani. And Katyayani is more interested in the taking care of the house, and Maitreyi is more taking care of his adhyatmika aspects. Those are the two. And he calls Maitreyi and says, I am dividing into two parts of this wealth, half to you and half Maitreyi, half to Katyayani. So Maitreyi asks, you are dividing, you are giving all this, why are you giving unnecessarily this wealth? Accurate. Unless you found some other health better than this. Nobody gives unnecessarily something unless they found better. So I want that one, not this one. If you are going after that one, I also want that one, not this one. This doesn't cross me the ocean of samsara, does it? He says, no, it doesn't. Then why do I need that? Katyayani can have that, but I want that one, that wealth. So obviously, Yajnavalkya was so happy with his wife, and he started teaching Vedanta. So that's the introduction. So in this mantra, this is the Yajnavalkya, Maitreyi Brahmana comes two times. And in this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we took the first part of it. This is the second part as it comes here. But most of them are exactly parallel, very small difference between the two. So let's read that 2, 4, 5, which is same as the mantra of the fifth Brahmana. Saho vacha Nava are patyuhu Kamaya patihi Priyo bhavati Atmanastu Kamaya Patihi Priyo bhavati Nava are Jayayai Kamaya Jaya Priya bhavati Atmanastu Kamaya Jaya Priya bhavati Nava are Putranam Kamaya Putraha Priya bhavati. Should be bhavanti. Should be bhavanti. Atmanastu Kamaya Putraha Priya bhavati. Putraha Priya. Nava are Vittasya Kamaya Vittam Priyam bhavati. Atmanastu Kamaya Vittam Priyam bhavati. Nava are Brahmana Kamaya Brahma Priyam bhavati. What happened? Oh, that's different from the previous sloka. That's okay. I'm only reading the previous mantra. Okay, you can read that, but I don't have it here. So it's the same statement. Okay, at least repeat what I have. I don't have that. Okay, now let's go to next one. In the Atmanas Kamaya Brahma Priyam bhavati. Nava are Kshatrasya Kamaya Kshatram Priyam bhavati. आत्मनस्कामाय क्षत्रं प्रियं भवति नव अरे लोकानां कामाय लोकाः प्रियः भवति आत्मनस्तु कामाय लोका प्रिया भवति नव अरे देवानां कामाय देवाः प्रिया भवति आत्मनस्तु कामाय देवाः प्रियं भवति देवाः प्रियं भवति नव अरे भूतानां कामाय भूतानि प्रियाणि भवति I don't know if you may be different here, it's okay. Atmanastu kamaya bhutani priyani bhavati bhavanti bhutani priyani nava are sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati Atma va are drashtavyah श्रोतव्यः मंतव्यः निजिज्ञासितव्यः मैत्रेयी आत्मनो वा अरे दर्शनेन श्रवणेन मत्वा विज्ञानेन इदं सर्वं विदितम्. So our last two lines are the important. Rest of it, this is saho vacha, that is saha vacha, that is the Yavalkya is saying. Nava are, oh my dear darling, that's what are means. Are is coming all over. He is addressing his favorite wife, Maitreyi. So, Nava patyuhu kamaya patih priyo bhavati, atmanastu kaya patih priyo bhavati. Let's take that because his husband is teaching to the wife. Says, my dear, so patyu, the husband kamaya patihi priyo bhavati. Not for husband's sake one loves her husband. This is a simple statement. Not for husband's sake one loves her husband. Atmanastu kamaya patihi priyo bhavati. That means I love husband for not husband's sake. Everybody knows maybe. But I atmanastu kamaya patihi priyo bhavati. For my sake only I love my husband. What is my sake? My sake means I want to be happy, therefore I love my husband. Because husband brings happiness to me. Therefore I love husband also. What I am loving is happiness only. But happiness is brought because of husband. Therefore I love husband also. Incidentally, I love husband. What I love is the happiness that comes with the husband. But again, he tells about a wife also. So we have to be fair for him. So he says, and each one is the same statement. He says, Navari Jaya, Ekamaya Jaya, Priya Jaya means wife. Atmanastu kamaya Jaya, Priya Bhavati. Nobody loves their wives. They love only the happiness that she brings in. And avari putranam, so sons also same problem. And vittasya, wealth also same. I need wealth and I need wealth. What do you need wealth for? So it brings happiness only. Security, happiness, all those things. So nobody loves anything. In essence, all the being list of everything that is listed is nobody loves anything other than the happiness that they want. Why they want happiness? Because obviously they think they are unhappy otherwise. So they are going after happiness. So what anybody loves is only happiness only. And therefore I love myself. Why? Because I am the very source of happiness. Because I love any source of happiness. And I love myself for what reason? Because I am source of happiness itself. Therefore I love myself. Self-love. Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam iti prematma nuchyate. Ayamatma paranandaha parapremaspadam yataha manabhuvam hi bhuyasam iti prematma nuchyate. This is from the Panchadasi, first chapter. It says, this is not only I love myself, this is supreme love. No other love can stand this love. Love for myself. I love myself so much that I want to be eternally there. Even I commit myself suicide only because I love myself. You know that also. Why? Because what I don't love is because of the suffering that I have. I don't like it, therefore I want to end myself because I love myself so that I don't want to suffer, and therefore I want to end myself this life. Hopefully next life is better. That's why people commit suicide only because they love themselves. That's what this statement here. So therefore, Navari sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyat. I love everything in the world only because I love happiness that comes with it. If it becomes a pain in the neck, I will drop it next moment. That is what you say. So I am going after happiness only. This is the fundamental statement here. So Atmanastha kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atma, therefore, what is the self that I am? Yes.
So I think the Brahmana also the same meaning there. So Nava Are Brahmana Kamaya also.
Navare?
Brahmana is also, we love Brahma also for the sake of happiness.
I am not able to hear you. You have to come closer and tell me. Yeah, so many, everything is same aspect of it. I love only everything only for my sake. And what I love is happiness that brings with it. Therefore I love particular one, not for the sake of their sake. I love for my sake, and I love myself, therefore for myself is that, for that, because I love happiness. That's what this implication is. But all are examples of the same thing or different. So because he's teaching wife, according to Gurudev, he has to tell every example possible in the world to make sure that she understands. I don't know if that's true, but anyway, that's what it is. So therefore, Atmanaskamaya Sarvam, for my sake only I am doing everything, because the love Atma is the source of happiness. And therefore, Atma ve are drashtavyaha. So therefore, what I need to know is that self that I am has to be understood. So drashtavyaha is here, is pointing out that I had to do self as to realize myself, what that self is, because I am going after happiness without knowing that happiness is from my own self. So I should know that why I am going after it without recognizing that I am the source of happiness itself. So drashtavyaha is essentially I had to the jnatavyaha. This has to be aparokshataya jnatavyaha. This art statement of Shankara is drashtavyaha means here aparokshataya jnatavya, means I had to realize my own self. Therefore it's not somewhere that pratyaksha is, I said, is for objects. Paroksha is that which I cannot see far away. Pratyaksha is thing that I can see. But aparoksha is not far away, at the same time not pratyaksha also, because it's me only. I cannot say it is close to me. It is closest than anything else, and it's my own self. And that's why it's called drashtavyaha is taken as jnatavyaha. Now here another bit, tavyaha means a vidhivakyam. Vidhivakyam means you had to do it. So you have to know yourself. That's what the statement is. At the same time, just now we read aprameyam, it cannot be known. So it's not something to know as an object. I had to gain the knowledge by understanding, by dropping my all other misconceptions about myself. So what should I do? I had to do sadhana not for realization, but all sadhanas are meant for removing misconceptions about myself. I think I am a finite, I have to drop that. I think I am mortal, I have to drop that. By pointing in the direction I am immortal. It cannot show. So here, sadhana and where self-realization has to be understood. Knowledge is not Purusha Tantram. It's not by, I cannot will the knowledge. Say, oh knowledge, please come. It won't come. I may break coconuts and do puja, Saraswati puja, all that. Nothing will happen. Not that puja doesn't have any effect, but nothing will happen. That's not a means for knowledge. Means for knowledge is study. So I had to study under proper teacher. That's what he's going to tell here. But therefore, Tavya means it's not a Vidhivakyam, but I had to prepare enough to do it. So I entered into a dark cave. But I have a matchstick and a candle there, and I had to light it and light the candle. That part I had to do. Then afterwards, and then what else I had to do to see the light? Nothing else. Light will come automatically and you cannot but see. Follow? And Sureshwara in the Raishkarma details beautifully. He says, I am entering into a pitch dark room and I have a torchlight. I need a torchlight and focus on each object. When I put a focus light on it, then I can see that object, right? So I am looking around and focusing my torchlight everywhere and I am seeing each object. Then I suddenly saw a pot which is inverted, upside down. Somebody has put it down, upside down. So how did I see? I put a torchlight and I saw the pot. Out of curiosity, I went and lifted the pot. Then I saw a candle is burning there. Now should I put a torchlight to see the candle burning? Candle burning is light is already self-revealing. But I had to lift that pot and put the pot there. That I had to do. So I had to do my sadhana in order to gain the logic. Therefore, from the rest on, after drashtavyaha, shrotavyaha, that I had to listen to the scriptures by Shruti, by listening. How? Shruti itself, the scriptures, how? By properly. Obviously, I had to go to a teacher and all that comes in the Upanishad also. How long I had to listen? Says Swami Paramatma says, I had to listen for a prolonged length of time until this knowledge is crystal clear. No doubts of any kind comes into. That's called essentially. And mantavya, I had to reflect on the teaching so that it's clear. So shrotavya, mantavya follows. If I am already prepared mind, then I am Nachiketas like in the Kathopanishad. When once I hear, then that's enough. I understood. Because my mind is already pure, no doubts about it. If I am like a Swetaketu, then you have to repeat 9 times. I don't know if you know, the Chandogya Upanishad, the father patiently repeats. So, Aitadatmedagum, the same thing is repeated 9 times. Aitadatmedagum sarvam tat sasyam sa atma tattvamasi svetaketo. And then he gives each example, a different examples to clear out the doubts. We don't know what the doubt is. From the answer, we should understand what the doubt he had, and that has been cleared out. And therefore, that's called essentially for those who are not prepared their mind completely, then you have to listen more. And mantavya. For many of us, people are listening to 20 years, 30 years Vedanta. And if you ask them, have you realized Brahman? I used to ask this question in the camps also. Have you realized Brahman? Nobody claims that I have realized Brahman. I still have to realize. That means they are not understood it, right? Something means I am that I am. There is nothing to realize. It is crystal clear, I am that. But still misconceptions are there due to avidya itself. That's what it is. That's why srotavya has to continue lifelong process, essentially mantavya and nididhyasa. Even after learning this lesson will not be there as soon as the class is over. Class, it's crystal clear. As soon as the class is over, all unclear comes here. Why? Because of lingering vasanas. Therefore, that is the problem that comes, and therefore it says, Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha, O Maitreyi. This is what. And Atmanaha are darshanena, sravanena, matya, vijnanena, idam sarvam viditam. The whole thing becomes crystal clear once I know by listening to the scriptures, contemplating on it, and knowing without any understanding, without any doubts. Then idam sarvam, all this idam, not only myself, the whole universe itself is known because I realize that The self in me is the self in all. So that essentially the truth that Krishna declares in the I think it's 6th chapter. 6th chapter. Sarva bhutastam atmanam sarva bhutani cham atmani. The one who sees himself, the self in all. He knows himself and the self in all as himself only. Or yo mam pasyati sarvatra sarvancha mai pasyati. From the bhakti point also, who sees me everywhere, meaning is Krishna now, or Krishna consciousness, or who sees me everywhere and everything in me. There cannot be any separate from him. Either Krishna only or I am only. There is no two I am and Krishna there. There is no bhakti there. Bhakti means only when you have two. Means bhakta and the deity has become one in that understanding. And with that, we complete the Brihadaranyaka Munikanda 2, and also we have completed Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also, because we have completed all the important sections. The next chapter is only Upasana, and we don't take the Upasana part. That's only for those people who want to do karma. So in principle, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad ends with that, the Munikanda. The other kanda is Upasana kanda. With that, we have completed Brihadaranyaka. We have done also Chandogya Upanishad, and we have done many other Upanishads also. With this, we stop here, and we'll do Purnamadam, and there's some instructions later in terms of Guru Dakshina and all that. You all familiar maybe. So we'll do the Purnamadam now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. And before I end, I think Subbarao is waiting there. First, I want to thank Subbarao and all other people who have, Kishore and so many people who have helped in the organization of this camp, number one, and people who came to listen to me, because the camps is one special to me only because this is the only way I study also. To tell you frankly, I'm really amazed how much of Shankara has done and the beauty of this Bhashyas, and I could appreciate more and more because I had myself had to understand it, and it's really revealing to me. Even though I studied a little bit, but when you have to teach, you have to study really hard. So teaching is really a learning process for me, so it helps me to teach in that sense. But at the same time, you have to give your feedback in such a way that we are thinking in one thought is the 3-day weekends may not be suitable for these camps because not many people are busy with a lot of other family commitments, because we are all samsaris and we want to be in samsara. And so will there be better attendance if there are only 2-day weekends only, or one day camp in a 2-day weekends where Sunday is free and only Saturday we take whatever that we could do. These are all choices that are available. If it is only one day, we select slokas of that and leave the rest of it. That's what we did on Brihadaranyaka. We didn't go through all of them, but we did essence of them now, essential slokas. And this is what I want to thank. And Subbarao, you want to say anything else? Or he doesn't want to say anything else. So those who want to complete they give Guru Dakshina. So Guru Dakshina you don't have to give, but the tradition says, oh, if you already think you have paid registration fee goes only for the food. It may not even cover the food also. Those who think who have gained something, you can give it to the center so that it can support, camps like this. That's how this all center itself started. So you can fill it up, whatever you think, depending upon what you have gained, because it's only depending upon what you gain. If you have not gained anything, don't give it anything, because you have not gained anyway. If you have gained only something, then give some back in return depending upon. So I told a story for, I don't know, in the